Story. Call it the Christie effect. Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa is now lashing out against the local teachers union. He calls the union, and I'm quoting now, one unwavering roadblock to reform. Mike Reagan of Reagan.com, live from California. He is our voice of conservative reason, joining us from, I think it's LA today. Is that correct, Mike?
You bet. I'm here.
All right, you're right there. The mayor of that fine city just went straight out and went right after the teachers union. I'm surprised. Frankly, I am shocked to see this. I think it might be a sign of things to come.
Yeah, things to come. He wants to be the senator from California when Dianne Feinstein retires in a couple of years. That was the first speech by Villaraigosa. The results are going to be nothing as usual. He's given this talk before, lashing out at the unions, then sits back and does whatever Duffy really wants him to do. So he's tough in the rhetoric, but very weak every place else having to do with the teachers' unions or any unions here in the state of California. The teachers' unions have done to the educational system in this state exactly what the SEIU and the other unions have done to us fiscally in this state. But we are bankrupt. Sub 50% graduation rates in the state of California. It is obscene that a child sitting in the Amboseli or on the Amboseli or the Mara in Africa gets a better education than any child in Los Angeles.
Ouch, that hurts. Now, we take your point, Mike, but isn't this a sign of a willingness on the part of state officials to take on the unions as the debt crisis worsens? I mean, at the very least, he is taking them on. I mean, he's going right after them. He's confronting them directly. At the very least, he's doing that.
But it's rhetoric. Everybody knows. There's nobody in the state couldn't give him the same speech. But they've been in meetings all week long, and they sit back with the CBAs, the collective bargaining agreements. They sign on to them, and they go absolutely nowhere. Do you know that the unions in California, the teachers' union in California, don't even recognize private school teachers and their credentials? In fact, private school teachers like my daughter Ashley has to every summer requalify to get her credential because the unions of the state of California do not recognize private school teachers as even school teachers in this state. This is how bad it is.
What do you make of State Representative Gil Cedillo? He's the gentleman who is suing the government, the state government, on the grounds that the knockdown in his pay, some 18% of pay cut, was illegal and was it unconstitutional. But basically he's saying, he's a state representative, Democrat from a part of Los Angeles, he's saying, hey, I want my money and I want it now and I don't care whether you're bankrupt or not.
No, absolutely right. This is what you face. And we've talked about this before when we talked about the budget, when everybody's going, hey, we've got a budget in California. It says dead on arrival. Because now nothing is going to happen until Jerry Brown comes into office in January. And this is really interesting because Jerry Brown, you might remember, campaigned that he won't raise taxes unless it's approved by the state of California. Well, guess what he's working on? A proposition right now to put on the ballot next year to ask Californians, would you rather have your taxes raised or would you rather have your services cut? And then define the very services they're going to cut to force people to vote to raise their tax in this state. It is unconscionable what's going on, and you're going to see a flight out of the state come the end of next year if that in fact gets passed.
What do you think would be the result of that election, that referendum? I would suggest that the voters in California will simply say, tax the rich, raise taxes. Surely that's what they'll say, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what they'll say. You know, we need paycheck protection here in this state for the union members. And the unions have got so much money, they beat back everything in the state. And he'll lay out a situation that if you don't raise your taxes, we're going to cut Medicaid, we're going to cut this, we're going to cut that, libraries, schools, and they'll make you feel so guilty unless you vote to raise taxes on the so-called rich.
Very interesting. Mike Reagan, always a pleasure. Thanks for telling us how it really is there in California. Mike Reagan, a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.